Okay,
Right.
all these were involved in the whole procurement of these ambulances. And really, that is the whole issue. Like from the get-go, as
Mm-hmm.
UPND, we
Right.
must get it right. Let's be transparent. Let's tell the people what's going on. We don't have to keep quiet, and people should never remind us to come clean on some of these procurements that really
Mm-hmm.
have raised quite a number of dust. So, to me, 13 million US dollars, that's significant money. That can change people's lives. So,
Mm-hmm.
over to you, my moderator.
All right. Well, you know what? I'll let Vakavia come in because I know he's been itching since I posted this last week, I think Tuesday or Wednesday. Vakavia, your take on the goalposts that seemingly have been changed by the local government PS. He's not resigning.
Yeah, as former permanent secretary, that's a very sad thing to do for my friend Phiri. He
Yes.
shouldn't do that. He should have gone. The
Mm-hmm.
moment that you do that, he's placing the president in a very awkward situation, and the president needs to act. If Nicholas doesn't act, the president should act. That will bring a lot of sanity to what people can say and do. You see, public procurement, like my elder brothers just said there, it's not something that is hidden. It's supposed to be open, public, people participate. And there are designed, distinguished suppliers of motor vehicles in Zambia. And if he wanted, he would have gone for selective bidding process on the suppliers of the motor vehicles. And if it is ambulances that you wanted, if it's Toyota, Toyota, Zambia, there's a Toyota franchise right there in Zambia and Ngwenya, which actually does all the services, including those ambulances. When they require services, they go to Toyota Zambia.
Uh-huh,
As
uh-huh,
to
uh-huh.
why Toyota Zambia was not involved, it was beyond me. Now let's take it that everything else was done. The failure to supply is a very big red signal. And I can tell you for a fact, this is not going to go away like Nicholas thinks it's going to go away. When he leaves office, these things will follow him because you can't go on the national TV, even start making fun of people, and then fail to supply, then change your goalpost, and then even make more funnies about them. Like people are daft. They cannot read between the lines. You don't do that when you're a public servant.
Right.
Nobody told him to say he should tell us that he will resign if he didn't supply. There could be serious challenges in that process, which might not even probably is making or they're beyond him. But the mere pronouncements that he made will really,
Mm-hmm.
really have to be maintained on him. I agree. The UPND government really needs to check out on such things and not to even throw them under the carpet. Nicholas needs to go. There are no two ways about it. It's a very serious embarrassment for the president. And I always tell you, remember what used to happen in the PF government when we were there. If something went wrong, who was on the firing line? You colleagues, our firing line was pointed at Edgar, isn't it? It is ECL. When cadres misbehaved, back to the president. When there was no the fire tenders, back to the president. The ambulances, back to the president. All those things were pointing to the president, even when he was not aware. Someone gets slapped on the street, president. So, as a president, and our Zambian way of thinking about the office of the president, which has not changed, where we think that the president is in everything, and we have made the presidents actually become everything because certain things are not them. Instead of us pushing to where this person is wrong, Nicholas Phiri, take away UPND, take away president. Look at
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas Phiri. He's the one we must all say, we frown upon you. But the way we have polarized our political systems in Zambia is that Anything that happened in the past political system, we throw it to ECL. Everything that is happening now, we throw into President HH, who may not even be aware about some of these deals and underhand methods that are happening. But because this is the way we've structured it. But because he's a political appointee by the president must actually take action on him. I submit.
Thank you, our beloved President Pierce. But how can the president not know about the 13 million US dollar deal?
Let me tell
Uh,
you how it works, Baba. Why at times I give the president a bit of doubt around that. You see, a $13 million project has a path. The president would know about the intention for you to buy the ambulances and all that. But the president will not monitor the $13 million because that 13 million is sitting in a ministry. And the procurement process of buying all those has the president's fingers are not anywhere near that. There is a minister, there is a permanent secretary, there is also the public procurement authority in there. The president is blamed because he's an overall person. But in terms of the processes when they are doing all that, there is no threshold that gives the president mandate to jump into the procurement process. So that is why I say the president comes to know the results, not the process. That process when it is happening, unless he is the one having an underhand method of controlling it, then you may see challenges like that. But if not, that is squarely only the minister and the permanent secretary and ZPPA. These three people have to be held accountable. And you see, Nicholas should have been arrested as well. Because other people have been arrested for actually failure to follow what? Procurement rules. How do you pay someone who has not delivered?
Right.
That is a very big signal. Nicholas has to be very careful with what he does. He really needs to come out clean. And that's why in the process I've said, if the president does not take action, the axe falls on him that he is the one involved in the scandal. That is how people interpret it. If he takes action and he shows that he's taken action, then how do we blame him for even taking action? We support him in that context. Say, President, you've done the right thing now because you have exonerated yourself from this scandal. You are not part of it. Let the people that do scandals face their own consequences without collective punishment for government.
Great, because yeah, absolutely lovely. But let me throw it to Dr. Mbulo here now, because as the man who works for CDC, now I'm just going to put in a joke here. While our president doesn't know about what's going on with the $13 million ambulances deal, how about our own here? He knows about the $400 million plane donation out of you know who. Dr. Mbulo, your take on our 100 ambulances that we are yet to account for, and we are told they are somewhere on the Red Sea or some logistics problem
Sure.
going on.
Thank you very much. I think Vakazia and the other gentleman covered it very well. And I think Vakazia has very good experience, especially working with the Zambian procurement system.
But would just before you go on, I mean, you work for CDC. Would a scandal like this happen?
No, the checks are very thorough here. the checks are very thorough, especially at really professional administrative level. The checks are very thorough. At that high, political appointees and all that, but even within CDC, if I have to travel for work, I have maybe 7 people who have to approve my travel. Even before the money is allocated. So the approval, and it's all computerized, it can be tracked, and everybody, all the signatory in the system, just one error, you miss it, I use my personal passport instead of a CDC passport, it's flagged and everything is stopped. So I think here they have a much more thorough system, which checks, before the payment is made, this would have been stopped. And it doesn't even get to the president level, just at that CDC director level, they'll be able to stop that. And actually, they arrest here. They'll send you, even the CDC director can be arrested. So I think we need to get to that level where accountability, and as Wakazia says, it ends up with the president. So you have to enforce that, you have put these people, you trust these people. Even behind the scene, you have to tell them, Mune, I'm going to fire you because you're not performing. So that's why, everything ends with the president. But of course, it's your people. It's the people you appoint. That's why you have that prerogative to appoint people you can hire and fire. You have almost more than 15 million people to choose from. So try to choose the best and follow up with those and make sure people really perform. And it's interesting that this thing happened during PF and it's happening again under the new government. So it's like, really, what system do we have? We need to really be able to improve our system. So there's potential. There's been investment in terms of IT in Zambia.
Mm-hmm.
Here they use the IT a lot. Even the computer signature is used a lot. So everybody in the system, if you sign, you are accountable for that to make sure that this procurement is done. So the president really needs to delegate the power to people to be able to enforce either the police, anti-corruption, heads, permanent secretary, even permanent secretary should be able to make sure all these things, even if just stationary, you just want to make sure even those little things are accounted for. So yeah, I think here they have an enforcement system really at that agents level. It's there. You can really see. Forget what you read about, high level Trump and all that. But at that level on the ground, it's very different. Even like simple travel, they give you a business card. You are responsible to make sure that you pay, and you also pay for that business card, and you report everything is reported, and they do the audits. You fail the audit, they'll call you and follow up with you. So I think it's really enforcement. I think especially in a public institution, there's a lot of accountability. You can see even like Elon Musk was helping Trump. He had to leave because people started to track him. There were a lot of things coming up, conflict of interest and all that. So all that we need to be able to, the IT, I think we have invested a lot in terms of IT in Zambia. And the church can have people actually who use the IT to track progress on all these, and they report to him, make sure they report to him. Or you can delegate, each minister should be responsible. Anything that come up, Minister of Health, what's going on? So I think it's we've put so much on the president, but I think the president needs to delegate and show it. If the Minister of Health is not performing, permanent secretary, Minister of Health should be held responsible for that. But yeah, IT, we need to be able to use the IT to be able to track, accountability, auditing. So it helped to reduce in terms of resources we use in tracking, payment, and also what we are paying for, and monitoring and evaluation. So if we can put in a lot of resources into the IT, which they've done a lot actually, but they just need to make sure they use it effectively. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Doc. And now we come to my lovely lost husband, Dr. Danny Juaniso.
Hola. Anyway,
hola. That's what my Spanish can go. Go
this this subject really, I'm nowhere near the being an expert in procurement and doing all those things. But in the past 5 years, I've been very, very closely associated with procuring equipment, signing contracts for contractors to supply things, this and that, giving them deadlines. What I know is that in this case, I think there is something wrong with the procurement process in that ministry. Right now, it shows, if they had a stringent, nice process, this wouldn't have happened first of all, when you, I think all of us here are aware that if you go into a contract with anybody for this amount of money, there must be some rules that are put on the paper to say, in case you don't deliver on time, what happens? Okay, that question has to be clearly answered. Both parties have to know the consequences of not delivering on time. I've seen those type of agreements, but the minister or the permanent secretary never mentioned anything to do with what happens now with the supplier that he has not beaten the deadline of, I think it was last month. It's supposed to
yes, today, but then it's been extended to next year.
Yeah, that extension is a new thing, but what were the rules of engagement to say by May 2025 you should deliver this? That was original thing. So there must be consequences and for doing that, and he should have mentioned what happened. You don't just say, okay, I haven't delivered, I'm extending the deadline to the next 12 months and stuff like that. No, it doesn't work that way in business, I think. The supplier himself is very questionable, and how he was picked, that pharmaceutical company was picked, I don't know. That is something not good. We shouldn't be doing that as a government. We can do better than that. We don't just walk in one of these compounds and find a small little so-called pharmaceutical company to supply us with this type of goods. I also don't understand the reason. Maybe Chandakazia, I talk to him every day. I don't understand why the government has always insisted on middlemen in everything they do. They have technocrats, they have all this manpower in all the departments, the procurement departments, but they still want middlemen. And this is what's killing us. Everything we want as a government, middlemen, this middleman. I don't know the logic behind it. I think some of these things we can acquire them ourselves. There's no need for us to have a procurement department which has all the experts. And yet, when you want to procure something, you sublate, you have to find someone to do it for you. That one doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm too naive about the procurement processes, but I don't see any benefits in some of these transactions to involve middlemen. Now, Lazarus has just mentioned the use of IT. We should really be using IT nowadays and to be able to track things. When the permanent secretary was asked about where the vehicles are, what's going on, his answers were not, to me, the answers were just they were very, very unclear. He didn't even know where they are. It was just somewhere. They're somewhere in the container somewhere.
He was waffling through his answers.
Come on. In this day and age, you have no idea where the goods you have ordered are. He was saying, they're stuck somewhere. We don't know, somewhere on the Red Sea or whatever, in a container somewhere. No. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable because it's just that in this day and age, when I order things from Amazon, I know where it is. I can even see on the globe where my little order is. So we have passed that stage of guessing where our goods are when you order goods nowadays. So it doesn't really reflect very well on the permanent secretary. The answers he gave to me, they were not satisfactory at all. There's something seriously going on here. I wonder whether we're going to get our ambulances or not at the end of the day. That's back to you, Miss Reda.
If I can come in, if I can come in.
But like I said, we have 30 minutes, and let's allow by Chandakazia first to come in before you do your.
All right. Right, you want
to say something before we go back to Bakazia, so we can move on to the most important topic today.
Yeah, of course. I have got my 2 cents on it, and I'm going to talk about in terms of having done CIPS at Zamim some years back, and how procurement systems work and ABCD. Now, I think what we need to understand first of all is where is the minister in all this? Because the first person that needs to be politically checked is the minister. Because if, as UPND as a party, we are found in an outcry from the public saying, can that minister resign? Or can we save the integrity of the party because of this mishap? But we need to also look at the backdrop of everything, like what is the nature of this whole procurement of the 156 ambulances? Okay, how was it done? Was it done through corruption? Were certain procedures of procurement ignored? So once all those things are put in place, then you can come to a conclusion whether the minister should file a PS. So really, it shouldn't even go to the president. This has got nothing to do with the president. There's a whole big minister in place. Okay, so before we even start looking and blaming everything on the president, what about the minister? Okay, because Nicholas is just a permanent secretary, and for him, to be there at the firing range, it means all the procedures were followed, and the signature of the minister was there. So now, if all these things were done, and if approved, and it was all flawless, I mean, everything was going to move smoothly, but all of a sudden, there's certain things that you and I may not know why the reason there is a delay for all these, the delivery of the ambulances. But in a nutshell, responsibility needs to be taken and somebody has to be fired. But I would also play the devil's advocate here. Who wants to be fired? Who wants to lose his job anyway? I mean, Nicholas is smart. He's like, oh, well, I'm not going to resign, right? Is it going to bring the ambulances quicker if I resign? But in terms of looking at it, in terms of integrity, reserving the party's name, reserving the government's name, the minister should take a position on this one. I think that's my 2 cents on this one. Thank you.
All
All
Just
right.
a quick one. Just a quick
Wait. Mr. Shamabansi has a point. So we'll start with you, Kazia, and then we'll go to Mr. Shamabansi in that order, please.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Just a quick contribution and maybe guidance. In the Zambian procurement system, the minister has nothing to do with procurement. He doesn't sign on any procurement document. He doesn't. What the minister can do, he can use undue interference, but not signing on any document of payment. He doesn't. The ministers are not. That ends with the permanent secretary and the Minister of Finance. So if you are getting there, the minister will give a policy direction as the government is made the decision on that, and then the procurement process is ticked by the permanent secretary. And there is also one big entity we are forgetting here. There is also the Secretary to Treasury. And to know that is the money there, the Accountant General. There is also the Control of Internal Audit. When you look at the processes that are there in terms of even the IT systems, they are very, very well done. I remember we procured a lot of other things under the Ministry of Labor, even for money that comes from the donors. There is, even if it is, let's say, International Labour Organization gives us $600,000. You can't just walk up and say, oh, this money came from the donors, then you are going to spend the way you want. No, it's properly controlled. You have to seek for authority. To change the procurement system, you have to seek for authority. To pay, you have to seek for authority after a certain threshold. Now, all these processes are done by the permanent secretary together with the Minister of Finance. If you find a minister in a procurement system, that minister is corrupt and it deserves to be fired, and the permanent secretary yourself has to be fired also for allowing it. I'll give myself as a typical example. In the 2 years that I was faced, I received the commendation from the Secretary to Cabinet about zero audit query. How did we achieve that? We achieved that by adherence. If you have not got an authority to spend, you can't spend. There's nothing like agency. Even what is very urgent, government has a system how to address what is very urgent. It has a system. For instance, getting an immediate clearance for SPPA. So if you want to resource, SPPA clears you. Oh, is the money available? Yes. How are you going to disclose the money? Have you sought permission from Secretary to Cabinet to verify funds? So there are a lot of internal controls that are there. It's just totally someone ignoring them. And that is why when the president is not part, the only reason why it is falling on the president and saying, oh, president act, is because Nicholas cannot be that arrogant and still be in the office. That Mane, I have a very serious doubt. He cannot be that arrogant and still be in the office. He doesn't. And then who gives them power to say, now it will come to next year? Have they paid back? Have they funded us back so that we can extend? In procurement system, who is going to pay for the same value of the money that is being lost? The services that are being lost, who is going to pay for that? So Nicholas should not take these things for granted. I do not agree with that kind of system. So the systems, colleagues, from the permanent point of view, which I was there,
in conclusion,
they are very tight. They are very strong. So unless they are just ignored because of political expedience. Thank you.
Great, Mr. Shamaba.
Okay, I won't take that long. I've got very little knowledge about this procurement process in the government, but I really commend everyone that has spoken here. Chanda Kazia, excellent, and it shows the background and knowledge he has on these processes. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about that we probably, and I asked you at the beginning of the, I think there were just two of us when I asked, where do these discussions go to impact changes? Where do we take them? This podcast, once we discuss these issues, where do they go?
We are live right now on all our social platforms. We are posted in all the UPNG, also WhatsApp platforms. So that also includes these ministers. Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah. That was just my some clarification. So one thing that I picked out from what Mr. Gazia said is people taking responsibility. I mean, that's very important, to take responsibility with what's going on, all the way from that permanent secretary, the minister, to the president. In fact, the president should actually make these guys sweat a little bit so that they could, give us the truth and tell us what their thinking was and how they did these procurements. Because obviously, from what I hear, this wasn't done correctly. So now, another thing that we have in our society in general, and we all know this, the culture. You see,
oh, yes, that's
cultural
big.
shift hasn't happened. You see, this is not happening in a vacuum. The president, unfortunately, has to work with people that are like that. People that are so ingrained in doing the wrong thing and hiding it. Because that's how most of us Zambians are. The integrity we don't have. We hope, even if people talk, it will go away and eventually, I'll build a farm, I'll buy whatever. That's our way of thinking. So maybe that's where it should start. But the thing is, in our society, because the president has very, very little time, he has no time to actually give people chances and chances. He's got a very short window. We know that he's got a very good agenda, and his aim and his need for the country to move in a different direction. We see it. We see it, and I'm sure even people in opposition, a lot of them see it. Those that are actually clear-minded, I can tell Chandagazia is. I've known him for a long time. So the problem, I think, is the culture. the culture we have, and because the president has no time to give people chances, this should not be tolerated. Not even a little bit. These people should go immediately.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
All right then. Shall we move on? I think enough on that. Shall we move on to the Constitutional Gazette that was published last week? And I'm going to start with Dr. Danny. This one is on this one because he was very vocal all week. And then we'll move on to our numbers man, because I know he's got passion on the Constitution and everything that has to do with it. So, Doc, this one is we saw the Gazette that was published last week in as far as the constitutional roadmap is concerned. And did you see anything in there that cause you worries? Because all week I've been reading how the UPND is going to create 200 and something members of parliament. Where do we have the money to pay for this? Why can't we shove this Bill 7 aside? It's worse than Bill 10. Your take.
Yeah, there are two things that I really don't understand in these changes that are being proposed.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is the appointment of the youth and the women. It says that we need to change the constitution for us to include these groups. To me, we don't. I live in Canada, Canadian Zambian. There's nothing in the Constitution of Canada that says 50% of the cabinet has to be women. But 50% of the Canadian government's cabinet is women. There's nothing where it's written. It's just a deliberate thing by the ruling party of the time to say, let's include women. So 50% of them seats are reserved for women. And you don't need the Constitution to tell you that, to do that. So if my party, which is UPND, really wants to include women and youths, I don't think we need to change our constitution that's a moral obligation, in my view, to include everybody, to be as inclusive as you can. You don't need to be forced to help somebody, not to help, let me know, retract that word, to include women and youth in the running of the country. They are useful, they are very they're a useful group to include, so why not do it without the changes in the constitution? The other thing that I don't understand is that of splitting the constituencies to include new MPs so that the funding can increase in those constituencies. To me, again, I don't think that's necessary, because you're talking about increasing the funding, but you're not talking about the increasing of expenditure that comes along with that. You are saying, oh, we're going to increase the amount of allocations to those constituencies. Yes, but let's talk about the other side of the coin. Do you know how much costs is going to be? So we have to look at both sides. In my view, we're going to save money by simply increasing the amount of funding to these constituencies based on the population of those constituencies. Because if we're going to say, because that's the constituency is very, very big, with let's say 50,000 people, but the constituency is huge, it's massive. Just because of the size of the constituency, we should be, splitting it in half and then giving them double the amount of CDF money they require in that constituency. I think that's not the best way to. I think Lazarus can come in here as an epidemiologist or a public health guy. When you're looking at numbers, I think numbers are the most determinant thing other than the area, So it looks like we're looking at the area to split these constituencies. To me, we should use numbers other than the area. Though it's a very big, the MP cannot reach. Who cannot reach one part of the constituency with all these nice Land Cruisers they have? So to me, let's use numbers. let's maintain the same number of MPs, but let's just increase the funding in some of these constituencies that are densely populated. That's all I can. Those are the only two things I have, issues I have with this news.
And now,
Yeah, let me jump in here. I hold a different view from my brother who just spoke. Now, I think it is inevitable that we table some of the lacunas that are in the Constitution, and
yes.
that's why every then.
Have we lost him?
Have we lost him? Well,
I think we have. Hopefully,
maybe
go
while
ahead.
we're waiting,
Go ahead. Cut
yeah,
it,
while
Mr.
we wait for
Chalabaso,
him,
before
yes, I'm glad the previous brother talked about being against the constituency divisions and whatever they're calling them, delimitation. I think I hold a different view.
Go ahead.
And here's why. I've got a practical and living example of that. We have a situation, I won't mention the constituency, where the urban part of this constituency has very good roads, tarred in the compounds, everything is tarred, and the part which is rural is completely dilapidated up to today. Up to today, we've never had any development at all. The roads are really, really bad, despite this CDF going around. And that's the main reason actually why I actually logged on today. And I'm glad this has been brought up. This delineation of constituencies is inevitable. Like this particular situation I'm talking about, it's like night and day. In fact, I've actually even made an appointment with some camera crews so that we show this on national TV. And the reason why, according to me, I don't know whether it's true, but I've got a lot of information about the whole thing. The MP does better in the place which is developing. He doesn't do well in the place that is underdeveloped, which is the reason why in such situations, these guys will continue suffering. And it's in the farm blocks, which is supposed to be the ones that provide food, which should be the food basket of the entire society. You see. So to me, I think, yeah, that's my take on that.
All right.
I don't know.
Man. Whatever happened to you?
I know.
Are you on Zamtel?
People keep calling my gadgets, my phones, my laptop everywhere. So I'm being thrown off. But let me jump in quickly here. It's very important to sort of give a quick comparison here between the bill 10 of 2019 versus bill 7 now of 2025. Okay, so bill 10 was rejected. It had, let me say, when you compare the two, in terms of scope, executive power, parliamentary oversight, public relation, and also institutional changes, the two are very different. Because Bill 10 of 2019 demanded a comprehensive overhaul of the Constitution, and you know what that was all about. It also expanded presidential powers and authority. So we know that. This Bill 20 for Bill 7 doesn't do that. Now, let's move quickly here before I'm cut out in terms of what is being proposed and why many of us think that it's a very progressive bill because, you know, the European government may have done things incorrectly. What I mean is this. Number one, I think the whole approach in how they brought about the constitution amendment process, we see a lot of gaps in there, the inclusiveness, that whole process, and what's being done really to take out the message into the constituencies, all that hasn't really been packaged very well, and that's where we need some people really that understand politics in the UPND, and they don't have that. So, number one, the proposal to increase the constituencies from 156 to 211, that's very progressive. We also see that they want to increase the number of nominated MPs from 8 to 10. That's very progressive. That gives leverage for the president really to appoint people that are qualified even to run some of these ministries. Okay. In terms of the electoral reforms, this is what my other brother talked about, the mixed member proportion representative. To me, I think I encourage that. They are trying to increase up to 35 of those seats, and they were going to allocate 20 for women, 12 for the youths, and 3 for persons with disabilities. I think we need that. Zambia is a democracy. It allows multiple individuals to participate in the running of the country. So I think we need that. The other key thing is the local government reforms, where we see currently we have, for example, the mayor terms, 2 terms, that's being proposed to increase to 5 years. To align that with the presidential and the members of parliament, which to me is a good thing because we want to see continuity in terms of our municipals. That's very crucial. Now, let's talk briefly here about the executive branch because there are proposed adjustments or amendments in terms of this area. The bill is going to introduce deputy ministers, and that also gives leverage for the president to appoint them to the necessary ministerial duties. Now, that is the only one that I tend to say we are going to continue to bloat the government. I don't see the need for that one. If I were responsible for this whole process, maybe I would throw that out and just take it out. The other one, which is very crucial also, is the judicial oversight provision. And the proposal there allows the Attorney General and the Solicitor General to remain in office after a general election until the new appointments are made. So to me, I think I support that. It takes away the lacuna of what we saw in the PF government, where after the parliament was dissolved, and then there was this holding on to power by the president of PF then. And to me, I think that was the abrogating the constitution. So we need to clean that up and make sure take away those lacunas that tend to bring a lot of legal challenges. And then the other one also under the judicial oversight and provisions, secretary to the cabinet is also going to be responsible really to appoint people that are qualified in these positions. Unlike what we've seen, some of the challenges really we've seen is getting incompetent people in these positions. I think that they're trying to change this and get these public officers, individuals, based on merit, based on integrity into these positions. And maybe we can eliminate or, minimize these scandals that we see now, that we see, for example, in local government. So appointments and qualifications will be based on merit. And so, in my view, these are progressive clauses really that cleans out the lacunas in the constitution. Are they the best, or is it really important for us to do? Maybe yes, maybe no. But I think the focus really is how do we enrich this message to bring in divergent views as we move this ball to the goalpost. And that's what maybe the UPND government hasn't done.
And as you continue to fail to do so. Yeah, I mean, like you just stated, I disagree with the reintroduction of deputy ministers. Absolutely not. We don't need a bloated civil service or cabinet as per se. We don't need that. We've seen what's happened in the past, and also the issue on increasing the number of women and youth. I mean, I've always contended on this forum that Zambia is signatory to an international act that allows, actually, that should compel the government of the day to at least appoint in their cabinet, in their civil service, at least 33% of the appointees there to be women. In 2015, I think it was 14% attainment. In 2016, Makazia will help me there, I think we were at 12. In 2021, we came in as a government of progressive. We only have 11% of appointees as women. And so to marry these two, when we have signed an international signatory that this is what we're going to do, what makes us think that by going this route, we're going to achieve that? Anyway, let me bring in Bakazia. I know you have a lot to say there. On the
wow, it is a mouthful, yes.
Yes.
Firstly, I'll give you the statistics. I think the highest number of women appointed to the cabinet positions was PF. It was like 30%.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was about 30 positions, there were 10 women who were appointed to cabinet positions there. I think, yeah, if my mathematics is correct, there were 10 out of 30. And when you include the vice president, it's about 11. So, and then there was really a good platform for women to be appointed and the youth and things like that. What I tend to agree with, number one, is what Dan said, Dr. said. You see, in Zambia, when you look at the appointments, it's different from the way you colleagues are looking at them. They are political. There's a political inclination where the president has to satisfy the people that support him to certain positions. This is what you see even in the appointments. I don't want to be personal. I can mention a few names here, but it will be more like I'm being personal. But I can give you just one example, and this one I can because the public figure who I pay. The appointment of Tabo Kawan as permanent secretary.
We knew we were going there.
You knew I was going there, isn't it?
Too late.
Because the man has just, very little understanding of what happens in the public service. Zero understanding. And then you go and give him a portfolio where he becomes the voice of the government, as if they are not right people that should be able to be there. I'm not saying that you should appoint me. No, shouldn't appoint me. But there are people within UPND with very clear, level-minded kind of, discussion. Even for the ministers, I always say, not that because I'm appeasing. Look at, for instance, the kind of development that Honorable Musanje has within his area, and how he has managed to manage the CDF. It's because he understands development, economics, international development. So imagine you gave that person a ministry, even like community development, which you're looking at that. He will rock there. Then you go and give my sister Doreen Mwamba that ministry. Where does it take us? Nothing. When you ask her about policy, does she even understand the policy? When you say, oh, the policy on women, the policy on people with a disability, the policy on NGOs, does he understand? Zero. It's political expedience. So for me, it starts from there. Now, when you come to do the constitutional review and the change, first of all, I agree with Bawi. We must do constitutional change, and the delimitation is one of the very most important factors that we must do. But it is how we do it. Look at how we are bringing out these positions and very good submissions. But the question, under which platform? Because that is why the UPND had a mandate to bring out these provincial town hall meetings through a very independent system. For instance, they say they've appointed maybe a former judge to even review what came out of Bill 10 and review it and see, okay, what are the things, why was the UPND not agreeing to Bill 10? What are the things that they didn't agree with? What can we change so that it becomes a national conversation? A session is held in Mongwe, a session is held in Kasama, a session is held. Maybe they don't want to go to each district. They can even do that in 10 provinces. So that these kind of conversations that we are having here should be a conversation that we must be able to have in a district or in a province where people walk to that submission and give their positions. And then these are learned people, they will do the statistics to know, okay, what is the position, what are the people. They listen from across the stakeholder engagement that is there. If you look at LAS, what are they saying? If you look at the Catholic, the people that supported the UPND towards the defeat of Bill 10, and what are they saying now? Are they saying you're doing it right? The consultation of the UPND members, and they say, oh, we've consulted the people, we will not, it will create a problem. Or when we cherry pick the traditional leaders, you go into Northern Province by the Minister of Justice, he meets Chief Zombe alone, and they say, oh, the chiefs in Northern Province have accepted. Yet you have a House of Chiefs. Why don't we take these things to that kind of conversation and then get the feedback out of it? Constitutional review is very important, and everything that you colleagues have said in terms of wanting to take our constitution process in that manner is very legitimate. But are we having a legitimate conversation so that we do this? Because you see, if we create a bad precedent, and then President HHM might have the best intentions of that. What if another person with wrong intentions comes in? He will appoint his friends and say, oh, go back there. I've consulted. We are changing the whole constitution. This is what we're going to put in. We will not stop that kind of process. So the question is that people are saying, no, let's go back to the process. Appoint people. Let's have people give us feedback. Let's argue vigorously why we don't think that we should actually put the numbers to the women in terms of that. Because the current constitution says that. And then also, why the UPND have been trapped about the youth and the women. It is a question of, are you leading by the example? You say we need more women. When you have a chance to appoint, you appoint a man. Or we need more youth. When you have a chance, you appoint a man. Or we have this, we appoint an old person. And then you come and say, no, we want the proportional representation of the youth. Then people ask you to say, wait a minute, you had a chance to appoint the minister after Gary Nkombo was fired. Did you appoint a woman? Did you appoint a youth? No. Okay, we had a chance to have a by-election in such a thing. Did you appoint a woman? Even there's a woman who was there, the only one in Katete. What happens? Yeah, we appoint a man. So, and then she even said it. Now, these are some of the things that make the processes very complicated when government may have the best intentions, but they're doing the different actions. We don't need the law to force. It is a goodwill, a person when they understand that this is a good principle, which the constitution have provide the general guidelines that whoever is appointing must ensure that 50% is this. But you can't force it. So in my opinion, we need it, but are we doing it right to get there? The process protects the content. So if we have to get the content, let's get the process better. Let's get it, right, so that we reduce resistance. We are all not going to agree. That is just known. But if we do the basics of what it takes to have good consultation, I think it's a better process. So that would be my contribution. I think the government needs to shovel this. They shouldn't force this on the people. It will definitely end very bad for government if they do that.
Great.
Director, I just have one quick one here.
Go ahead,
what
Mr.
Chandakazia said. I think we've looked at the public and civil society perception.
Yes.
In other ways, reaction. I agree that that's a solid independent position that UPND, we people that believe in the ideologies of the party must be taking, is to listen to the voices. There's several people that supported the UPND movement to defeat Bill 10. They have spoken. They need more transparency and inclusiveness in the reform process. From the word go when I spoke, I said I think we missed it. We didn't get it right. This is a process that must be very inclusive. In fact, in the past, most of us remember that every time there was a constitutional reform process, a commission was set up. We know many commissions that were set up in the past to support or drive the mechanism to amend the constitution. But this wasn't done. And I listened to the Minister of Justice the other day on Costa, and she was trying to articulate and justify the position the government has taken. I think let's just agree and own it as UPND that mistakes have been made. And if we're going to have a solid process, include every voice, every civil society, we must do things right and bring these to the correct process of doing things.
Right, right. I mean, it can't be any louder than what you've mentioned, the numbers man there. Let's bring in Vachlutia. I know you have one or two things to say about that.
Yeah, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I think we can start with the first thing, which is, of course, the delimitation. And we, of course, we're talking about, of course, increasing the boundaries of certain constituencies that, seemingly to be larger than other constituencies, and reducing them or maybe dividing them into half. Now, I hear some people saying it's not a good move, but we need to understand that according to the ECZ, this is something that's actually in the Constitution of Zambia. Each and every 10 years, it needs to be done because population is growing and the needs of the people are also growing. And there's no way that we can be ignoring these things because it's a constitutional mandate. Whether we like it or not, it's enshrined in the Constitution. It needs to be done. And it's not spearheaded by the UPND government, as other opposition parties are saying. This is through the ECZ. They'll do a report, they'll send it, and after it's approved, people will now start saying, okay, fine, these are the areas where delimitation is going to happen. The argument is, where is it going to happen? And that's the fear of most of the opposition party is, where is it going to happen? Is it just going to happen in one region? No. It's not the current government or the UPND party to decide that. It will go to the ECZ. They will determine which area. We will all just be participants, whether you're a PF, you're a UPND, SG party, National Neka party, we'll all just be participants in this process.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So this issue of delimitation is neither here or there. We cannot, hold the UPND government at ransom to say why are they doing it. It's not us that it's doing it, but it's what needs to be done. Now, secondly, what is the advantage of having all these delimitation? What's the real reason? Like, why? I think it coincides with the current government policy. With me, the way I was looking at it, I was like, look, with the way we have a wonderful program called the CDF program, as we mentioned, there are some ministers in the opposition that are saying, I have a very, very large constituency. CDF that you're giving me is not enough. I cannot bring development to my people. These are the opposition. I can give you an example of our brother who talks a lot in parliament, Binwa. He was the first one to say, no, my constituency is so large. So CDF is not it's not working, because even if you give me the same amount of money that you're going to give a small constituency, that small constituency will look like they're doing something big. Me, who has a bigger constituency, look, I'm doing nothing. So now we're saying, let's propose these issues to delimitate. They say, okay, fine, let's delimitate it. Let's have, instead of you 32 million going to the whole constituency, we divide it into two. There'll be 32 million there. In total, you have what, 64 million. Then you bring those development issues to the people. What's wrong with that? And then the other thing we're talking about is mixed member representation in parliament. I think that's also another bone of contention. where we talking about women. Of course, we're talking about the disabled and we're talking about the youth. I think the proposed is about 20 women, and the proposed on the youth, I think, is about 15. I'm not sure, somewhere there, but disabled is about 3. So the argument is the president already has the power, but that power that he has, in fact, Vakazia started on a very nice note. He said, those powers may be politically influenced by who he can appoint on those positions. But if we have something written in the Constitution that automatically gives any president that will come from now going forward to say these are the numbers that automatically need to be there in Parliament, then it's a good thing. Plus, on top, the president has that already. So what's wrong with it?
Can I ask a question?
To understand.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, to me?
Yes, to you, Watan.
Oh, go ahead.
How did you decide that you are going to have the 3 people to represent the disabled?
That's a good question. That's a good question. So I think I may not go into details to tell you exactly how it came by, because I wasn't there in those committees. But obviously there were committees that sat around and came up with those numbers.
So there were committees who we don't know. You yourself as a citizen and myself as a citizen, who I don't know where they sat, when they sat, and what the deliberation was, but there was a committee which sat and decided. Now,
yeah, but
I think Vakazia, I think in the last 2 years there's been a committee that's been collecting. It's been a bypass committee that's been collecting views from across the country.
But in any case, Vakazia, let me just answer you just to be quick and let's close it. In any case, this is not something that's set in stone or solid to say this is it, that's it, every Zambian accept it. No. It's up for debate, like we're doing here and discussing. If you feel like 3 is not a good number, propose Vakazia. You've got the right to do that as a Zambian, to say, no. Can we have 100, whatever number you want to come up? Okay? This is not set in stone, that these are the numbers.
I think this might be way above Vachirufia's arguments. You have simplified, you have taken it a simplistic view of when you look at
I want every Zambian to understand. I want every. Yes. I'm not talking about. I'm not discussing these issues with you, but I want the Zambians that are listening, so that they're able to understand these issues. Okay? Because if we're going to make them to be so complicated, nobody's going to understand. Let's make it easy for people who are listening and watching. Bamayo, bareshisha tomato per market, no. If into feeling if you have so, let not the opposition mislead us. I submit.
I think the point here, Chilufia,
go ahead,
is that let's get to a point where, as UPND, we can all own some of our mistakes. It's okay to own them and try to do better next time, because this is what leads to independent voices really to move away from supporting our agenda. Because I'm a citizen and I'm a proper guy that supports the UPND mandate. And just like Kazia is saying here, I didn't know when the whole process was happening to really decide to amend the constitution. The first time I heard was probably the last few months ago when the president spoke. So what I'm saying is, we are not against amending the constitution, but the process must be more inclusive and transparent, period.
Right. And on that note, unless if we have somebody with a different viewpoint, shall we move on to the next topic? Everybody satisfied? Okay.
I like the summary. That summary is perfect. I have not known many people who would speak like him. Seriously. I'm telling you. They are very, if people were thinking like that within the government system and the UPND, we would not have problems in terms of all of us supporting the government when they make something that is right. It's high time that people started having a conversation like what he has said. When people are right, we must all gravitate towards saying this is right and take a position to do. I thank you very much for what you just said.
Yeah, bring it.
No, I think
No, actually,
here's
you
the
know who
thing.
we forgot before
Here's
everybody
the thing.
go.
Hold on, moderator.
Uh-huh.
Remember, even when I'm in Zambia, I sort of I'm an independent voice within the UPND, and this is what helps to move the vehicle in the correct path. Because remember, we believe in the UPND ideology, obviously moving Zambia forward. But when we make mistakes, like these mistakes, let's own it. Let's own it and say, look, I think next time it's going to help us to do better than what we have seen. This is, this whole Bill 7 constitutional amendment, that's Changanya. That's Changanya. You don't do things like that. We can do better as UPND.
Great, great,
Yes.
great. Now,
Yeah, I just
before
wanted
you
to
Just
add.
go,
more.
there's
Hello.
somebody who hasn't spoken.
Yeah,
Dr. Ngolo, I was just coming to you. I know you have a
sure.
voice there. Go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
I just wanted to add a few things. Thanks to everyone. I think it's a very good discussion, and it's nice that there's such a discussion about this bill, even as it move forward. So just a couple of things on the, I think I don't really support the idea of expanding the number of MPs. I think we have to think in terms of the cost. As Danny said, I think in terms of CDF allocation, we can look at the proportion. Some constituencies with large number of people maybe should be allocated more. And then I think there's some constituencies which are highly developed and some not developed. So I think we have to take all those into consideration. And I think CDF should not really be a replacement for development. I think the government or whoever is in power should have a development goal, economic development goal. So there's no need to invest so much in CDF, but the government should have a development. If we are going to develop Shangombo, for instance, is there an economic plan around that? So everything else should ride around that. The CDF should be more of complementary to a wider development approach. And then coming to participation, of course, it's good to have representation from different population groups, but I think it's a bit of a challenge. So let's let each constituent choose whoever is able to. Of course, we can try to empower people with disabilities, but let each constituent decide to choose who they want to. I mean, when it comes to maybe appointing ministers, the president can, of course, use his prerogative to select somebody who is able. Even if they have some disabilities, they can be appointed. They can be a male, they can be female, they can be a youth. And then in terms of the youth, I've worked with the youth. The interesting thing is, there's always a shifting going, defining the youth. Some are define them up to 24, some up to 35, and we are never a youth forever. So yes, we can engage them, find opportunities, ways to engage them, but eventually I'll be 50, I'll be 55, even if I'm a youth. So there's always an opportunity for you as a youth to be involved now or in the future. And then just lastly, one of the things I'd mentioned earlier on in terms of, the internet. Even in Zambia, there are a lot of people have access to internet, even by phone. So I think maybe we can encourage constituencies to have platforms, even just a platform like this, social media, where they can be able to share, they can be able to contribute. Of course, the town halls, are great, but the social media, can be another way where MPs can be able to connect with their constituencies, discuss these things. They don't necessarily have to join, but they can have a team of people support them. I know MP Munsanje has some people he work with. Those are the people who can be able to collect these views through the internet or social media as well, to be able to get feedback from their constituencies. Thank you very much.
Great! And I promise next week I'm bringing my MP, the doc himself, Musanje Babala, to talk about some of these and these issues. I think it's more best in there. But we have somebody right now from the city of. We always want to say that it's who is that one again? The poet Come on, Mr. Mommy, help me out. Was that the poet?
The city where William Shakespeare was born, Stratford upon Avon.
There you go. And I know you were here earlier. Welcome back. He's our constant host.
I welcome all of you, but especially Ali Mwene, my former schoolmate, intake mate.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Kwamba Munyama.
Kaoto Mujamba, Kwamba.
Kweli.
Good to see you. So, yes.
Yes. Nditule, I got the gist of what you're talking about, but I don't know whether this was mentioned.
Go ahead.
You know, when we talk about leaders interacting with the community, with a lot of big trees in the bush, in the villages, under the tree, we can resolve a lot of issues.
Yeah.
What he's driving I guess he's using what Airtel or MTN in England. Who knows? Hopefully he'll be back. All right. And now that we have spoken on this issue, shall we move on? And the issue at hand is.
I've not finished. I've not finished.
I don't know whether. Well, I don't know whether the ghost of Shakespeare kind of intercepted there with the signal. But go ahead. Go ahead.
I want Mr. Chanda to hear this, Mr. Chanda Gazia.
Go ahead.
I'll call them town hall meetings. Town hall meetings. They have an equivalent in the Western world. Town hall meetings, where this MP, this councillor, any leader can be called to come and explain what is going on. But those facilities are absent. If we can just like say every month or every 2 weeks, every 6 months, there will be a town hall meeting where elected leaders will come and exculpate themselves, especially on their actions, their expectations, and just a general link with the community. It can work better. Even over the same constitutional thing, an MP can be brought to task. Tell us, what is your view? What are you going to tell the people? Where do you stand? I yield.
Now, I know that Kazia want to respond on that because he does.
Yeah, he can. I have no problem. He has his own mind. He has his own mind, and I like it.
You have a response to that. Oh, shall we just move on?
I think Vamata has brought a very good thing. You see, we have every town, at least I know for the provincial headquarters, they have a council chamber.
Yes.
And the people can have that conversation around it. And that is why, in this conversation about the constitution making process, that is what we're expecting. That when you want to do that, take it to those areas so that people know the timetable is published in the newspapers, it's on the Electoral Commission's website, Ministry of Justice website, so that anyone who wants to know how these meetings are taking place can now know that, oh, this is what, and even publish the intentions of what you want to do. But not when you are asked to say, oh, you want to amend it, you say, no, we are not amending the constitution. Oh, this, no, there was a lot of denials. And then ultimately, then you come and produce a document. I think that we can do better, and as government really can do better. Those town hall meetings, yes, they need to be done, and I agree with that. And also, just on the issue to do with the Constituency Development Fund, you see, there is also a different way of delimiting. You can bring in more districts, because once you bring in more districts, then the resources are going to be at the district level. And like also other colleagues have said here, is that if the constituency is bigger than normal, allocate the financing based on the size of the constituency, and probably can put in a little bit more districts so that central government is represented into that. Constituency Development Fund is not like now we are giving a legislature the power to start implementing the powers of the executive. At times it will conflict them very, very heavily when it gets too big. That is the other thing. If Constituency Development Fund becomes too big and the politicians become part of it, it will suffocate the work of the executive. So you must be able to also measure that this is just a supplementary kind of system that you are putting into the constituencies. You're not wanting it to represent to overtake the executive functions of the Ministry of, for instance, Labor, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education. You want them to still have that leverage to plan ahead at the national level, but be supported by CDF. So that's why we must also be very careful as we run with issues to do with CDF.
I think I want to challenge the moderator. Let's have a discussion around CDF so that we can really dissect it and address a few things there and see how we can muscle ourselves around it and help
I agree with you.
champion
absolutely. I agree with
progressive
everybody.
ideas around
Yes.
CDF.
My hand is up.
Yes, that's why I'm going to bring in my member of parliament from Babala, Dr. Mutanje. I will try to bring my member of parliament from Shibuyunji. I can't promise you on that, but definitely I can bank on my member of parliament from Babala. I cannot bank on my member of parliament in Kabata. That's an issue on another day, but definitely somebody will come in.
I can also talk to Sunday Chanda. Sunday Chanda has done phenomenal work.
Let's come up with a date, and if all of you here, you can bring somebody. Please help us. Let's get cranking, Mr. Mani. Yes.
Yeah, my hand was up. You know, when Mr. Chandakazia speaks of not creating constituencies, you see, that is the right way to go. Imagine how many people get employed when a constituency is made, and the number of people that would get employed if a district is made. There would be a council secretary and all his staff. That's a wage bill, which is way big for the country. For a constituency, there's just an MP's office, parliamentary assistant, 2 or 3, 4 skeleton staff. So creation of districts, no. Creation of making more constituencies again, it can't work. I'll give you a scenario of what's happening in schools. When schools get their grants, the grant is based on the number of pupils that are enrolled. Imagine, it's very easy to know the number of people in a constituency. After all, we've got a voters register. Ali, so using that voters register, Mwembeshi constituency has maybe 300,000 people. Kanchibia constituency has 600,000 people. The funding should be different. Maybe per person, we say 1 kwacha per person. You see, 300,000. The other person, the other constituency, 600. Numbers don't lie. And in this time and age, we cannot overrule statistics. That can solve a very big problem than creating more and more constituencies. I know Mr. Chandakazia likes my point. Clap for me, Wachanda. Why mletero? Yeah, I like your view. I like your view.
The 2 of you. Let's move on.
Yes.
Okay, let's move.
Let's move on to something that I'm going to call Bally Belt, which was live today in Choma, where he was. But oh my goodness, Bally is a very smart guy, yeah.
I want to go first.
No, yes, no, but
okay.
Let me lay down the you know what I'm thinking here. Oh my goodness! I mean,
influencers first. You can go.
I'm not influencing. I mean, I didn't think about it, but I saw flyers. Oh well, he's auctioning Brahmith, whatever type of booze he was selling over there. Come one, come on in Choma. He had a church service, and of course, before that, during the week, we saw him with my sister Mutinta, because we are from the same area. Harvesting their maize. It's the first time they are growing. Oh my goodness, they have created all these jobs, and now next, the man is selling those bulls. One which went, I think one of them went fetched as high as 200,000. When I was making my calculation, I was like, 300,000. The numbers man will correct me on this. And then I calculated that. I went with the lowest. I said 30,000 kwacha, okay? 3,000 times 30, I'm like, oh, that's 90 million. Oh, in 6 hours? Who, even Elon Musk can't sell his internet in 6 hours at 90 million. I'm just saying. In Zambia, that is. Okay, now, so anyway, it ended up 150 heads were sold at that auction. People are paying as high as 200. The lowest was starting at 35. Oh my goodness. What are we doing there? Let's start with the numbers, man, because I know I've got all the numbers jumbled there before Bakazia comes. What is this? Because remember, I mean, you
The numbers.
die. The numbers,
I
man.
requested I go first on this.
No,
Okay.
the platform was
No,
given
let's
to me.
I wanted the numbers, man, to clear up the numbers first.
Yes.
no,
Let
moderator.
me start. Let me start.
So let's allow. Go ahead, Ramwan.
Okay.
In very simple words, HH was just doing his side hustle, one of his side hustles. So he has earned. So it's fine. That was just a side hustle and he's made the money.
I mean, isn't that problematic, though, when it comes to the Constitution? Is the president allowed to sell?
Me, I've told you. Let me go first.
Go ahead,
After all, it's not the president who was doing that. That was just a side hustle, side business.
So
speak.
You are departing from that. When there's a request specifically on a topic, you let the person request you to go first.
Go ahead, Bakazia. Go ahead.
After Bakazia, then I'll come in. Go ahead.
I have great problems with that.
Go ahead.
Now, let me tell you the problem that I have. Number one, there is no private hustle. There's no private life about the presidency. Takwava. The president has no private life. When he's sitting in the office, he has no private life. All his life is public because everywhere he goes, there's public expenditure tied to him. Everywhere he goes, there is public expenditure and life attached to him. All that security is paid by government. All where he's going, every activity is paid for by government. And number two, the president has a lot of people that can do business for him without him being there. He doesn't need to advertise his business when he's sitting in the office. It creates undue advantage. Because who would want not to be where the president is? Who would not want to impress the president for knowing that just knowing the president comes with benefits? Everywhere in the world, when a person is elected to the office of president, they relegate the executive powers away from the business and let other people run with it. The president can't even advertise for something. I have great respect and I've known and respected his business acumen. People, we shouldn't underestimate it. He's good. He succeeded in business. We must take a leaf to learn how he manages his businesses. But when he's sitting in that office, there are things we must tell him, no, Your Excellency, we love you to death, but this one you can't do. Because what about those that are small-scale breeders that are come to show grounds every season? There's what? Can they compete with the power of the president? And now the president has set the market. By now, if I'm selling a pool, do you think I would accept anything less than 30,000? So there could be economic distortions. There could be economic distortions that may arise as a result of dealing the president doing business in that manner. The president should not be doing that. Let other people run. Let him be in the background of his business. They can consult him even in the morning, in the what. The president must not open his mouth over his businesses when he's president. It is a very serious conflict, and we must not encourage him to do that. I am not saying he shouldn't run his businesses, or his businesses must collapse just because he's president. No. His businesses must run,
The business must succeed. The business must grow, but they must be done away from the mouth of the president. I submit.
Ooh,
So
man.
let me come in. It's a thin line here, and I ought to be very careful in terms of how we discuss this issue. And I like to go to the Zambian Constitution Act of 2016, that there's no explicit prohibition preventing a sitting president from engaging in private business activities. But the Constitution, at the same time, in the same token, does impose certain legal and ethical constraints that limit the president's private actions during his tenure in office. Now, that is very subjective, and that's why I'm saying that it borders more on ethical and governance considerations. That's his business, and if we observe as citizens that undue influence because of his presence there, that's another topic for discussion. But to just make it clear here, the Constitution of Zambia doesn't spell out whether it's prohibited for a sitting president to engage in private business. Now, one example I would give you is that we have a president in the United States. His name is Donald Trump.
Yes.
Okay. And he came into office from the business world, similar to the president of Zambia. But we have seen a lot of activities really that happen that tends to compromise the position of the president, especially here in the US. Now, that may be a subject of litigation. But as far as the president of Zambia is concerned, I personally didn't see anything wrong in him being present there. It's his business, yes, but I think him being there really, he is following the good governance etiquettes, and his ethical position tells him it's okay to be there. I don't see anything wrong with that, and how it really compromises his position as a sitting president to the business world. So that's my take on that. I didn't see anything wrong there. I'm sorry, Bachanda, if there was something wrong there, maybe maybe from your position, but again, it's a thin line. But I just want to be respectful. That's his business. He has managed it over 30 years, and so let's just respect that he's a good role model. At this point, he has really demonstrated that you can start from nothing and showcase your business where it is and inspire a lot of Zambians. That's my take on that, moderator.
That's wonderful. We move on, and let's all be reminded that the president is still on holiday, doing what he loves to do best. We had one over here who was selling Elon Musk vehicles in the lawns of White House, but we can't compare. Who are we? Let's bring in. How about we bring in Dr. Mbulo? You've been too quiet over there. What do you take of the president's marketing? I mean, he calls himself the chief marketer of the country. Now he's marketing his own bulls, and these are rare bulls. Let's just put it out there. They don't cost 2,000. They start at 30,000. I mean, if you're a rancher, everybody knows that. If you're selling that kind of a bull, the expectations, depending on the kilo, is not to get less than 30,000 kwacha. Your take on his marketing prowess and the millions he earned in less than 6 hours today, Dr. Mbulo?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. I think that was the last gentleman explained it very well. But I think it's important that the president set the precedent. Of course, we don't want to be like Trump. I think Trump is an outlier anywhere else. So you can't be selling Tesla at White House.
Yeah.
So I think the same. I think we in Zambia are still struggling with separating government from our personal corruption and all these things. So you have to be, when you're in that position, it's like you're in uniform and you want to sell something else as a policeman. So I think it needs to set. We still need standard. We still need people. If you're a teacher, you're a teacher. In a school, you behave as a teacher. So much as is a real good model, but as a president. So government is about government. It's your responsibility to the public and that image, the standard. So it's really the standard and the perfection. So let people in business do whatever they want. I mean, I was telling somebody, just look at what happened to Elon. He just tarnished his image by putting his foot in government.
Right.
In government, we hold people accountable. It's about accountability. If you can't mix, if you want to stay in business, stay in business. Don't go into power. So HS should actually let some other people do his business if he wants to keep his business. And let him, he is the president for the country, responsible to everybody. They can be called to duty at any time. So he can be using his office to promote his personal products or goods. Thank you.
Okay, nailed it. How about we go to Mr. Willie Shamabansa? Your comment
I think
on.
the moderator is.
Am I muted? You
We
can't
can't
hear.
hear you.
Oh, sorry.
No, it was Mr. Shamabansa.
Yes, I was muted. No,
Yes.
I've listened to the submission.
Yeah, your take.
Yeah, my take, I agree with most of the two speakers that have been there, Chandagazia and Ali Mwene. Now, Chandagazia is got a point when he says this is the presidency and wherever he goes, he's president, and the security details are paid, and they're paid by taxpayer money, and so he shouldn't use those during his personal business. But then, again, I think I heard somebody mention that he's on vacation, and so even if he's on vacation, he's still got the security detail, and he's probably coming to Ali Mwene's point, he's going there to showcase what he preaches. He preaches everyone that you can start from nothing and still make it. And also, the most important part that I think shows in this guest show he brought forward is the ability to say, as a president, you don't have to have hidden deals and using your position to actually make money. You can make money from just hard work. That's the positive side. But again, it's a thin line. I agree. It's hard. I don't know what the Constitution says, but I think I heard somebody quote it. He's walking a thin line, and that's one part. But let me also talk about a little bit of some point that was raised earlier about owning our mistakes as UPND and UPND supporters and ministers and everybody in the government. That is a very, very good thought process and a very good point. Now, also, I've had these discussions away from here. I think UPND, hopefully, we are learning a lot from being in government. We've only been in government how long? 4 years?
4 years now, yeah.
So there are certain things that have been done wrongly. I agree to that, and I've pointed out a lot of times elsewhere. However, the most important thing is to learn from those mistakes. And hopefully, if we're given another mandate, this government can actually streamline most of those mistakes we've made, how we handle certain things, how we bring out certain things, like this same constitutional amendment situation. Maybe the way it's being done is wrong, but some of the ideas are very progressive. That's all I have to say with that.
Let me put Willie on the spot here quickly, moderator.
Yes, go ahead.
On a scale, because I believe in numbers, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, Where do you rate the UPND?
To me, I rate the UPND probably at 7.5.
Okay.
That's a 75%. Yeah, that's 75%. In Zambia, it's a distinction.
All right then.
Right. So we are good. I mean, I really do support and agree with a lot of ideas and propositions that have been brought about with this government. But I think we fail and fall short in the way we handle certain things. And again, we've got a lot of people that are novices that are not really very good at the way they go about some of these issues.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's where we should be improving.
Right.
Yeah, but the first thing should be to admit that, hey, we messed up there. Maybe we need to correct this part.
Right. Dr. Johnny Liswaniso, your comment on our chief of marketing.
All right. Thank you very much. This the way our president is spending his vacation on his farms or back to his village, to me, that's how all of us should be spending our vacations, other than spending our times with Jemassons.
Oh my goodness.
So the thing is, I've been following the president's vacation period in Southern Province. One, he has demonstrated, first of all, to the Zambians, because it's been broadcast countrywide, the importance of agriculture in our country.
Right.
That's a message he's delivering to us indirectly. And people that can see, someone like me that now has seen what the president is doing, it has motivated me one way or the other. It has motivated some of us to start something. Because now I can see that the president had how many thousands of bags is demonstrated that day, thousands of bags of maize. And now he went and now showing us that he started from nothing. And now look, he's making millions of kwacha or dollars in 6 hours, 7 hours. I can do that as well. So it has motivated some. So that's a positive thing. What the president is doing has motivated a few of us to follow his example. Okay, that's something. That's a message that is passive. He's not telling people do like I'm, but some of us have gotten motivated, to be honest. And the other, so that's a positive aspect of what he's done. The other thing that I saw him doing is went back to his school as well and motivated those kids in former secondary school. They saw all that. I can assure you, out of those kids right now in secondary school, Kalomo Secondary School, they saw all that. Some of them have been motivated, which is a very, very good thing. And the thing that you should realize, this is a subject very close to my heart regarding the agricultural livestock production sector in Zambia. Our president, why he's doing that, one of his initiatives that he's championing right now is to enable Zambia to be able to export meat to the EU and outside world, okay? But we've been told that we need to create what are known as animal disease-free zones. No country will be allowed to export beef when the international organization, to be specific, FAO, has stringent measures regarding animal diseases in a country. So before they can allow you to export, you need to be disease-free as a country of certain diseases. And if you remember when President HH was appointing Dr. Songolo as a PS of agriculture, of livestock, he mentioned that we need to strive to make Zambia a animal disease-free zone. But it's very difficult to make it the whole country at one time. We have to do it in compartments. And this is what you see him doing. He's distributing that breed of cattle, the Boran and all that. Those are very resistant to those diseases. They have done a lot of genetic studies on those animals. They are very resistant to certain diseases. And so what he's doing is basically spreading or sharing what he has himself to these disease animal disease-free compartments, and they have identified Chikankata, Chipata, Mumbwa, Namwala, and something like that. So there are about 4 zones that we are striving as a country to make them disease-free. After 5 years, we'll be able to export meat now to the EU. They are monitoring us right now. And the only way we can achieve that is to have certain breeds of cattle that can achieve that goal that we have, okay? So he's somehow promoting this goal for us to be disease-free. We're starting with zones, and then we're going to spread countrywide. And who knows, in the next 10, 15 years, Zambia might be classified as animal disease-free country. And there we'll be exporting to all parts of the world. So this is a very good initiative for him to share what he has, because for him, his farms are animal disease-free. And these animals that he has spent a lot of money to come with this breed. And by sharing the bulls to the rest of the Zambian livestock farmers, he's sharing his goal that he wants the country to achieve. So this is a positive thing as well that he's doing, which we can't see. I mean, we can't directly see, but this is what he's doing. In the next 5, 10 years, the whole country will have that breed of cattle. I'm not saying that our local breeds are not good, but for economic purposes, his breeds are more superior than most of the breeds that we have in Zambia. So this is something very good. So those are the positive aspects of it. But of course, when we come to the negative aspect, to me, the negative aspect does not outweigh the positives, okay? I always tell Chandagazia when we discuss things, I tell him that when I'm discussing something, I always want someone that is going to talk about nature is all about left and right, good and bad. We cannot just be one-sided in the way we discuss things. So the negative aspect of what is done, of course, he's got an upper advantage. I mean, he has got an advantage over other farmers that want to sell those same breeds of cattle to other people. He's not the only one that has that breed. So yes, he took a, somehow he had an upper hand in selling his bulls compared to other farmers that wanted to do the same thing. So that's a negative aspect of it. But to me, the scale at which he did his business really spread that breed. I hope he's doing that every year, so that we spread this breed countrywide, and then the country, at the end of the day, it's going to be us to benefit. By the way, he also gave some animals to youth clubs, women clubs as well, which was not publicized.
Oh, he did?
Yes. So
yeah, even the Catholic, I think I
he sold some to this group.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So he's also helping women club, youth clubs to also come into this sector. So he's not just doing it. I know he's doing it for money as a businessman, but he's got a bigger picture of our country. He loves his country, and he's doing this with the love of Zambia. So there are a lot of positives in my view. And of course, the people that are very critical, like Chandagazia, would say, no, that shouldn't have happened and all that. But to me, a lot of positives come out of such things. And I know a lot of good things have come out of there. And we should disregard the small competitiveness that we're talking about. I think the positives outweigh the negatives in this case.
Right. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and
being cautious while it's being positive is not being overly critical, because probably why I am this is arising from the fact that these are standard procedures when you assume public office. They are very, very standard. For instance, when you are permanent secretary, you can't advertise. If you have a business as a PS, you can't advertise it. You can't advertise it and say, oh, it will go into procurement competition with others. You can't do that. So there are certain benchmarks made to protect the industry from one, because if someone does a state capture on the president in business, the country is gone. And number one. Number two, one of the other factors you must also understand is that if that auction was not public, like
Vakasi have already made those points. I think let's respond to the points I've made. You have already made those points.
Well, I don't think that it is right that I'm addressing Ghana.
Yeah, give him 30 seconds.
Yeah, so you
He's
don't do
winding
that.
up in 30 seconds, and then we'll come to you,
Anyway,
Bachilupia.
So
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. I'll speak last.
All right. Shall we
All
move
right.
on?
It's
Maybe
over.
before we go to Bachilupia, Dr. Mbulo here is saying those mistakes are a cost to the Zambians who pays for the learning. Come in, Bachilupia, with your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I was actually even going to recommend him, actually, for the first time, actually. What he was saying is it's totally the truth. But, okay, what we need to look at is we need to look at what the current government is at the moment. And then we need to look at, the history. Okay? We cannot, I can really, like what he was saying, I know it exactly, and I've read it, I know exactly what he's saying and everything. I understand that. But I'm going to give you an example. Back when Ethiopia was being run by Haile Selassie, what he did when he was a king, he had to go at certain times, many times actually, he had to go to the students or go to a primary school or go to a secondary school and start teaching them. He had to take that opportunity and that initiative as a president, as a king actually, to go and teach his fellows, Ethiopians.
Mm-hmm.
In the same vein, the current president, even if, okay, all these factors are put in place, what's wrong and all these things, they shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be using government money or government whatever. We all know all about that. But the bottom line is this.
Mm-hmm.
The big story is what is being presented to the people of Zambia. What's being presented to the people of Zambia is that recognition to say leaders shouldn't just sit in the offices and drink German. Can we inculcate? Can we inculcate a different mindset of leaders who are going to show us as children how we can make money, how we can be ranchers, how we can be, like even ranching itself, actually, auctioning of ranch is huge. I don't know, Texas, Bally, is it Texas? That's where you are?
Yeah.
I forget.
Yes.
That's a huge business there.
Oh, I mean, that's a land of cowboys. And
okay, that's a big, huge business. And I can tell you for a fact, at 35,000 kwacha, they are Nima dollars just for one bull. Even more than that. It's a big business. And that's why you see Abantu Watavena Donald Trump, he always, aligns himself with people from the Texas, because those are the people who have the money. Now, imagine we have 100 people like HH in Zambia. Okay? It's a good thing for us. Let's learn. Let's take a leaf. Let's not just look at the negative, the technicalities. No. What's the overall message, or what's the overall?
Have something to say after it's done.
No. Yeah.
What's the overall message? The overall message is we need to inculcate a business-minded farming community that can say, look, I can start keeping hybrid cattle that's going to give me benefit and become a billionaire like Orwell.
Mm-hmm.
Can I become like that? It's giving you a free of charge, first class, okay, blueprint, how to do it. And everybody's complaining. We want to acquire fish and all that stuff. Anyway,
let's just be reminded also as we speak. somebody in New York bought somebody's hat for how much was that? At some fundraiser for the party. When was that? In 2016?
What benefit did it do for the Zambian community?
I think they spent $30,000. I could be wrong, but those were the numbers that were being thrown at the time.
But what benefit? 150,000 kwacha.
There you go.
What benefit did that bring to the community of Zambia?
Zero. And
what benefit is this auction going to bring to the community of Zambia?
Better breed.
Let me compare.
Anyway, let's move on. Let's get to our beloved resident.
Yes. Let me put it.
I'm going to give 1 minute.
Give me a minute.
We need to
give him. Let's hear his perspective.
Yes. So we go to him and then Mr. Marsh and then we move on.
You see, the issue about learning good practices in agriculture must not be the prerogative of the president. It must be a government policy system. It can't be an individual driven by the business acumen of the president so that everyone will learn from it. It's much bigger than that. We have destroyed leaders in Zambia because when they have taken a different path, which is not right, we encourage them. We praise them for doing what is not right. I have told you on this forum, am I against the president's business? I am not against the president's business. Am I saying the president's business must be killed because he's in the office? I am saying no. His business must continue. The profitability of the business must continue. I have said that, but I don't know if Dan is ignoring all that. But I'm saying one mistake or two things that overlook in the office of the president can have a serious consequence on the country and how we are viewed and how people view that system. The issue of telling the president that, president, you can't advertise your personal business. If he was running that auction as a part, as UPND party, where he's been invited as president, it's different. He has a right to do that. But when it's personal, it's different. UPND is a public institution where each one of you each one of us can belong. The business is running a private. He can't use his office to run private affairs. It creates an advantage and it creates an abuse of the process itself because these are enshrined in the rules. Now, if another permanent secretary tomorrow started to do the same for his business, and a minister and another minister, when is it going to stop? We must advise the president. But president, we love you, but to do this is wrong.
In conclusion,
do not take private entities using public resources. It is what is called public, is what is called abuse.
In conclusion,
Makarinda, I've given an example. He can't use public resources for private goods. He can't do that. He's a president and we must tell him not to do that if we love him.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mwani. You are muted, sir. Okay, I'm going to unmute you.
Mr. Mwami, Rodwood.
Unmute you. I can't unmute you. I was trying to.
Okay. I'm unmuted now.
Okay.
Listen, I have two things to talk about. One is an adage. They say every cloud has a silver lining. You know, when we look at a cloud, it's dark and it's associated with a lot of stigma, bad things. But at the end, there's that silver line. There's something good about it. The good part about his activity today is that it has motivated people, number one. Two, it has added to the GP. Very soon, ZRA at the end of the year, they'll collect something from that business he has done. He's not done it for nothing. The country will gain. Number two, the public has gained because of their money that they use it to protect the president. Those people that have gotten an insight, that have moved a step further in their rearing of cattle, tomorrow there will be different people. If you tell someone that you look beautiful today, they will walk differently tomorrow. You know that?
Oh my goodness.
Adi, tenga matimpa. You look beautiful today. Are they going to walk the same way tomorrow? So all those people that went there, just imagine how motivated they have become. Do we need a motivational speaker to come from America, Texas, to come and tell us how to keep animals in Zambia? African problems, African solutions. The last one, this one. You see, you have got this plain paper, a big plain paper, and then you just put a black dot there. What can you see on that paper? Tell me, you've been to school. A big plain paper and then a black dot. What is on that paper? All you are seeing is the black dot, eh?
Yeah.
What about the space? Can we, what about the space? People, let's think of the space. All you are seeing is just black dot. Nalufyanya, public resources. How many have benefited? You.
Moderator.
Yes, Mr. Ali.
I just don't want us to discount what the other speaker said here.
Oh, no, we don't. He knows.
That's the last piece. That's the last piece.
Go ahead.
The ethical expectations in the office of the president are very high. Okay?
Correct.
Those are very high, and obviously we expect him to uphold the highest integrity in that public office, because the reason why the constitution is very quiet, because it sort of pushes this whole burden to the office bearer, the president, because the constitution is very quiet on that, but it focuses more on ethical and governance considerations, because there's always something called a conflict of interest. And so that's why I said the line is very thin. But I think I also take the position that let's look at the good side of it than the bad. Obviously, in my mind, in my small ego mind, I think the good outweighs the bad side, but we're not negating the bad side.
Absolutely. You have summed it the way my journalism lecturer at LC would summarize it.
Final question. One question. Last one.
Let's wind up. Final
question. Yes, one last
ahead.
question that I want everybody to hear that, and I want to hear your opinion. So, is it that because the good thing outweighs this bad thing, therefore it is correct to do that?
It's economically correct.
Let me answer.
Go ahead to the numbers man. Go ahead, the numbers man.
It's economically correct.
So when we say it's correct to do this, we're not saying that it's also wrong to do this. That's why I said it's a thin line, Kazia. But I want to tell you that there are pros and cons into this. Okay. Now, you talked about standards. Remember, we set up these standards us ourselves, and we can obviously come and revisit these standards that govern us and what people expect from us. If the Zambians think it's wrong for the president to do that, then the Zambians obviously can push for some form of legislation or agendas to prevent a sitting president even to involve himself in farming. But when you look at it from a broader perspective, do you think the president showcasing all that farming really to defeat the poverty and increase food security in the country, was that a bad thing, Wakazia? When you look at it, was that bad?
Oh, you mean auctioning of animals and stuff like that?
No. I'm talking about. Remember, the issue is not just auctioning; it's the activities that are followed. That includes him showcasing food security and the whole farming that we've seen. Was that bad that he showed the Zambians and leading as an example? Was that a bad thing? You tell me.
If you remember, I said that is his business and that is very okay.
We can't hear you, sir. Move closer to the mic. We can't hear you.
Oh, you can't. You can't. Can you hear me now?
Better.
Yes, now we can hear. This is a very important question, sir. We need you to address it.
Yeah, this is why I questioned the other one that does it mean because it's a good thing, therefore it's right, we must encourage. Number one, the showcasing of his business acumen is good. To say that, let's forget about what he has done about business and the farming systems, then we say, no, that is a very good thing. But the point is that, and if you remember what I'm saying, I said the way he is doing it, and this one is directly in conflict with his position as president. I have said there is a better way of even the businesses showcasing that. He can even get maybe a tour. He conducted a tour to show just what he has. But for him to actively be the one transacting in the business, that is dangerous. You understand? We're showcasing us as a people to say the president has these animals and these are the farms, this is what he's doing. That I do not have a problem seeing that myself. I get encouraged to see that. But I have a problem when the president takes the active stance to be the one to start now doing the business and is sitting in the office. Because now he becomes a competitor to other Zambians that are businessmen. And that is where the conflict starts. And that is the conflict you must tell him, don't do it. Showcase it, or maybe we even come up with his different strategy of how he can showcase his business and maybe different methods, different NGOs can showcase that. But for him to be the one to start selling animals, things is there. However, that is way too much. That is way too much. He can't actively participate in business. But after another president, he doesn't do advantage for education again. If he was doing it on behalf of maybe UPND government or maybe an NGO, maybe the way that you're talking about the use that is giving, yes, that's what I understand because it's not him benefiting, it is other that are benefiting. But he is a beneficiary of whoever's money. It's not money going to the government offer. It's not money going to the government offer. He is going to his business and is the president. You must tell him that no. Showcasing is good. I agree with it, and it's something that I but not him being actually trading.
In conclusion, okay. So let's
this is a topic, Vakalinda, we need to revisit it because I pointed out that the Constitution doesn't prevent that, even the president from attending the auction, but it's a check and balances in terms of conflict of interest or whether there's abuse of office, ethical governance, and some of the expectations. Let's revisit this discussion and really break it down so that we are all clear.
Right. We definitely will do that.
I agree.
Mr. Shamaransa had something to say.
Yes, I have something to say. I actually hear both sides here. It's good, and again, it can be very hard to navigate. But let me commend Chanda Kazia for actually even being, and these are the type of progressive minds that we need in Zambia.
Right.
Having views that are, in opposition to what the majority is not an easy thing to do. That shows maturity. That shows his love for the country and for the constitution of Zambia. I commend you, my brother. Continue being that way because other people wouldn't even come here and especially that you were even part of the government. That was removed previously. So I want to commend you for that. But then again, I want to agree with Ali Mwene that we should revisit this issue. There is a lot I think that we need to learn so that we clarify whether it's really bad or it's really good, or it's somewhere in between. We actually need to revisit it. You can actually table it and bring it up some other time.
Yeah, yes, I think it will be best if we bring in somebody from the Ministry of Agriculture to talk about this, and maybe also some lawyers from Zambia. They need to come on board and give us, speak to us, legally speaking, what that entails when you have a sitting president who's a businessman and he continues to do business outside, his day job. I think it's important. So, with that being said, shall we then conclude this discussion today, and we'll link up next Sunday, usual time? But before we do, we come to my favorite. And Bachanda Kazia, he knows he's loved here. That's why he speaks the way he does. So we allow him to express himself, because that's what we're about. Not all of us. Some of us, I'm a UPND supporter. Mr. Alimwen and I would agree. We started the chapter together 23 years ago, when it wasn't fashionable to be in UPND. People were running away, but we held fort, and here we are. But even with that, we all have different views. We may agree, we might not agree, and that's just the way life is. Right now, I do not agree with a lot of things happening in the UPND, but I'll continue speaking out. I'm still UPND. For the first time, I carry a political party card. I've never in my life, but that's a topic on another day. So in that order, shall we go ahead and do my favorite topic or thing that we do segment on this podcast, where we allow everybody to speak whatever they have on their mind. It might be, entertainment, socially, anything you have that you want the world to hear. This is your time to do it. And we don't interfere. We don't ask questions. We might laugh, because some things that come up on here, they're pretty hilarious. So who wants to go first with that run for today? The 1st of June, by the way. It's the president's birthday on Wednesday. I think the 4th. He'll be 63 years old.
Mine is tomorrow.
It's tomorrow? Okay. Happy birthday, Mr. President. So who wants to go first with the run today? Shall we start with the dog, Dr. Mbula? I know you know what we say when we say the run over here.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the discussion, and it's great to have, like we said, the positive and the other side as well. So at the end of it, we have a better conclusion or better advice to move forward. I think the major issues on the ambulance, it's really unfortunate that we can't really track. We can't even have after spending so many millions of dollars to get those. Hope maybe, as they say, head roll, somebody's removed or somebody's held accountable, but we need to have those ambulances in the country, and I think we should find a way to maintain those. As I said at the very beginning, if any one of you has some interesting projects, contracts on data analysis, monitoring, evaluation, please let me know. You can reach out to me. But thank you very much, and have a great week, everyone. Thanks.
Great. Who wants to go next? Shall we say Vakazia? What's your rant for this week? Vakazia, where are you? Are you fishing?
What is my rant?
Yes, what's your rant for this week?
I'm still putting my minds together on what I'm ranting on.
Okay.
I'm finding the right words.
Okay.
Can I have the right words myself?
Yes,
Can I
go
come
ahead, Ramon. Go ahead.
Yeah, this world that we live in, correct things are either correctness depends on what the situation is. Some things are politically correct, some are socially correct, others are economically correct, others are spiritually correct, but somewhere again they are wrong. So in our understanding of things, let's look at the bigger picture. The ambulances That is economically wrong. The auctioning of animals today is the economically correct. I think
What is wrong with the internet over there in England? Oh yeah.
It's still in Zambia, I think. It's still in Zambia.
No. He came to England last
Oh, he
week.
came back?
Yeah, he came back. He's in England.
No. I thought he was still farming harvesting his maize.
Oh, he's done. He's done. Yeah.
I'm even feeling guilty. I'm even feeling guilty that I'm being talked about as someone, a civil servant, who should not sell the maize. FRA. You can imagine, it pains me that after doing my labor, I cannot brag, I cannot boast of my very small harvest. When my pupils are very encouraged, when they look at that harvest, they say, oh, sir, he's doing a very good job. Even my other fellow teachers, come on, they get motivated, especially the new ones. So what I'm doing is economically correct. It can be professionally wrong, but yeah, if I can feed others. But I'm going to send a vunga kunganda. I end there.
Which chanda?
Won't say.
Let me jump in there.
All right, doctor, my lovely handsome doctor. Handsome.
Let me jump in there, moderator.
Yes, Mr. Mene, what's your run for this week?
And I'll be very brief here. First, I watched the gentleman. I think it's Kelvin. Is it Kelvin? The one of the ministers, the commerce minister in the European government. When he was saying,
commerce, isn't that Mupoka?
What? Chipoka, yeah, Mulenga
Chipoka is the commerce minister. It's not Kelvin.
Yeah, that's the one. He's the one. Yes. When he was saying, well, President, when I look at this bull in my mind, Munani, you Munani. So, and the other day I sat across my window here from my lodge, and 3 deers, healthy deers, were just close to my window here, and I was like, yeah, this is good food. We are in Africa, but
oh yeah,
but
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but the overall picture is that the president's message about Zambia expecting a bumper harvest has really resonated with the citizens. Okay, we're coming from a brutal season where we had the severe droughts, and so in my view, I think it reflects the government's focus on food security through supporting agriculture. Now, I know there's a lot of work that needs to be done in agriculture, but ultimately, I see that really there's hope now. There's hope in Zambia. We see a lot of food prices coming down. Farmers, of course, it may be challenging, but they'll have a bit of income. And so overall, food security creates what we call national stability. And so this message has really inspired many Zambians, many of us that are outside. That I think for once again, we're going to have a lot of food security, and we may begin to eradicate poverty. That has really been an enemy of our people there.
Absolutely beautiful, Mr. Shamabansi. I know you had your rant is ready. What do you want to talk to us about this week? What's your rant?
Okay. I know I was asked earlier about how I would rank the performance of the UPND, and I gave my rating. But yeah, in all seriousness and in conclusion, I would like to say, in law, I did a bit of business law during my studies some time back, and they usually look at the intent of someone when they're looking at criminal law, the intent of somebody when they were trying to do what they did, and the defending lawyers usually use it. And I would say the same thing. I would say the same thing on how I look at how the president of Zambia today has handled his presidency. I look at his intent because I think it's because I personally had to hear it from him. And I think he has very noble intentions for the country of Zambia, which is why I actually stick with his, his leadership and his ways of, looking at how things are being done. I mean, again, I go back to agree with some of the speakers here, including Chanda Kazia. There are certain ways that we, when I say we, I'm talking about UPND, I think they've handled things in a wrong way, and hopefully we've learned from them. But I think when I look at the intent has been honorable. His intention for Zambia is very, very noble. And that's my take.
Oh, great. Dr. Liswani, what is your rant? Are you ready now with your words, or we move on Kuliba Chanda Kazia before we go to Chanda Chilupia?
Chanda, I wasn't ready. Me, I've always been ready.
Chanda all right, Doc. Come on.
Chanda Kazia is never ready. Okay. My rant this time, I still go back to my medicines pilfering. Please, we need more information. We need heads to roll. This cannot go under the table unattended to. The Zambians have suffered. We don't have medicines in the hospital because of a few selfish individuals. So we need to please have this settled down, and everybody should be informed of the outcomes, because we are told the report was handed over to the government in December last year. So we're wondering now, we're mid-year now, 6 months later, we haven't heard anything happening. Please, let's continue informing our citizens what's going on in that very, very important sector. The other thing is, I'm a Democrat and I love opposition parties challenges. And what I'm seeing in our opposition parties right now is very discouraging. There seem to be no direction. They seem not to know what they're doing. I really want a challenge as the ruling party to be given checks and balances, to be told where we go wrong. But right now, I don't see any organization in the opposition parties. I don't even know where they're heading to. We are a few months before the elections. They don't have anybody that can, they can identify as their leader for the upcoming elections, which is very saddening to me. I don't know why they are all looking up to Lungu. Lungu never stands. He's done. But they still insist it's Lungu, it's Lungu. They are running out of time. They're always in Lusaka on social media and all that, instead of going to the ground, to the grassroots levels and talk to the people. So please, opposition, get organized. We need you in democracy. Thank you.
Great. Bakazia, are you ready with your words now?
Yes, I am ready.
Go ahead.
So my rant today is on the intention to sell maize, which I heard. I think President Kasonde Mwenda raised that the government has the intention of selling maize because of the bumper harvest. Please, they should not take us back into hunger. If there will be surplus, let us keep our reserves. And if we have more, let's make sure that what we have should be able to feed us first. The aspect of saying
that one I can help you, my brother, not to interrupt.
Okay.
We have reliable information. The government has no intention to sell. What you heard from Kasonde Mwenda, that is speculation.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, at least, that's why I need to rant on it. That if they have any intention, it should never be done. And then number two is also that as our power generation capacity is increasing, please, can they not increase the export as well? Let it remain, if not abolished completely, so that our small scale, business entrepreneurs can have a lifeline back on track to make sure that they can deliver to all those big projects that are happening in the constituency. And lastly, I would also want to urge government to look at the plight of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, in as far as making sure that the capacity is increased, to make sure that workers are protected across the country, especially knowing that now the centers of more economic activities has moved into the district and through the same process of the CDF. So I would want to see that the ministry is present in each and every district, and that all these programs that are being implemented, workers are not abused and they are protected in the right way. People start to contribute to the pension system so that, their lifestyle and the life after work is properly covered. So that is my rant.
Lovely, brilliant. Right, Lupia, what's your rant for the week?
Okay, the rant for the week is pretty much simple. I think I would encourage everybody to get this and read it. Okay?
Is that the Government Gazette on the Constitution? Yeah. Okay.
Everybody should get this and read it, because some of us, when we're talking, it may look like, we don't know what we're saying, but it comes from here. And I can tell you one thing: the current government or the current president has the right to own private property. He has the right to actually auction, or if he wants to auction his property, or to do any kind of business. Okay. The only way that it becomes not right if there are certain things that are not followed, which I'm not going to delve into right now, due to, my own political affiliation. I'm not going to give you leakage. In any case, so let's all read this. Let's all understand it, and let's go move and move forward. But at the end of the day, all those like the auctioning of the cattle, like I said, like in Texas, it's a big thing. It's a big deal. In India, Tonga land, it's normal. Us that are just learning about it, it's more like a dream. Nobody. It's never been. It's never been publicized. In simple words, everything has been done in the background, but these things have been happening for a long time. Okay, but us, we're just learning about it now in the public eye. Okay, and we can go there, and you can go and buy the highest breed of whatever cow that you want. Now, okay. The system that the current government is trying to do is bring those kind of breed in the northern Wapula circuit. If you remember, or if you know, northern and Wapula circuit, we only depend on ukulima fye tute and ukulima fye, we are not cattle headless. We're not ranchers. If we can bring that system or that ingenuity and that everybody, can you imagine how the northern lands will start looking like? Wapura province. The land is fertile. The land is ripe for it. Even the president himself, when he was on the chopper, was looking at the land. He was like, wow, if I bring 100, in fact, he was saying, like, me, if I retire, give me a land in Wapura province. That's where I want to go and live. And just leave me alone for 5 years, and you're going to see what I'm going to produce. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to make sure we maximize ourselves. This thing shouldn't just be a preserve, okay, of our brothers and sisters in the southern province. Every Zambian should be able to be a rancher, as long as you got the capacity, capability, and you have the land. These issues, they might sound like a joke to some people. But I can tell you one thing: in northern province, Wapura province, northern plains, the only thing that's there's nothing really going on there. People are just
But need to tell you about become manan kanin.
Vatanga, you are lying.
No, Bachanga is correct.
I'm talking about animal production.
Yes, animal production.
No, let him speak.
How many? Okay. Here's the thing.
Let him speak.
Okay, here's the thing.
I'll answer him because he has produced what is not correct right there.
No. Let me tell you.
This is a rant where we remember we don't question, we don't ask.
But we have a right to correct.
No, but here's the thing. Example for Yava. Gavati Javakupera and can question that. Can you give your opinion? There's no opinion that is right or wrong.
We shall cut each other after this, you people. After this, behind the scenes, behind the scenes, we shall shoot each other.
But my point is, I think you're missing the point. My point is this: Northern Circuit, Luapula Province, Tatwa Kwate Ngombe. I don't think Bakazia can tell me that Kwatama ranchers like HH in Northern Luapula Province. We don't have. Me, I've been there, lived there for over 3 years. If we go fishing, that's our thing. Okay, so let's not lie, blind our people when we can benefit and become rich in a province that already has the resources. I yield.
Right, and on that note, background. You can
background because there's certain things that we must be able to correct.
No. You can speak on it in the background. Remember that. Yeah. We're about to end the podcast.
Generalization is
background. You're gonna talk about it in the background.
Overgeneralization.
Background.
Let's finish this.
But we cannot overgeneralize.
No. There are rules to the rant.
Yeah, overgeneralization is not one of them.
You don't
give us the background.
Yeah, Malalanda background.
Mr. Speaker and anarchist. No, that you're out of order.
No, we are saying
in order.
Background.
Okay, I'm happy that today you protected that. The next time I rant and I say something wrong, you will keep quiet as well.
Yes, we will.
You are entitled.
We will.
I concede to consider that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, beloved PS. Thank you, everybody that showed up today. I appreciate each one of you for giving us your time this Sunday. As for me, I have no rant. The only rant I have is at CEEC. They just announced this week they are open to applications for people to apply for these loans. As you consider those loans, the people that actually want to engage in agriculture, most of them only have written documentation from their chiefs that they have been given land. So consider those two. Don't keep on insisting on titles. Those traditional lands, sometimes they don't come with titles. And they take forever to
CEC is another
process.
topic.
Yeah, so that's another topic we need to have and consider in a few weeks' time. We need to talk to people at CEC so they can come and discuss that with our people. So on that note, this one, oh goodness, I have an hour. I have to go to Patula Bell's concert in an hour's time. So I don't have time. I gotta go. Everybody, we'll see you next week at the same time. If you want to reach out, just hit me up on WhatsApp, And Mr. Shamaranse here, just jot your number here. I'll add you on to Abantu TV. That way you know the topics that are coming.
All right, thank you.
And everybody else, keep the faith. Thank you for everything. Until next time.
Adios.
Check out. We end this.
Adios. Adios.
If you